I'm going to get started. Thank you all again for being here. This is the one of the wonderful sessions that we're hosting for the virtual fair, which is mainly led by our 2024 alumni students who traveled this past summer and can speak authentically to their own experiences having participated on our programs. If you're not already aware, we run a language program for Arabic in Rabat in Morocco. We have some of the best host families there that help your students feel comfortable in their new environment. And I can't wait to share a little bit more about that with you guys today. I do want my panelists to introduce themselves. So panelists, if you can come off mute and share your name and which session you did, that would be terrific. And maybe where you're calling in from as well. Go for it.
I'm Mustreha. I went to Rabat for session 2 and I'm in Seattle.
Uh,
Hi,
Clara.
everyone.
I'm Clara. I'm from Boston, and I also did session 2 in Rabat.
Hi, my name is Rihanna, and I did session 1, and I'm from Minnesota.
Thanks, guys. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to hear what you have to share. So before the alumni take it away, I am going to talk a little bit more about just general information about our summer programs for any students or families on the call who don't yet know. This is our program site map. It's super exciting. I love to look at this map. It has all of our different program, well, many of our different program types listed on here. So we have high school summer abroad, high school semester abroad, gap year programs, and first year abroad programs all listed. As you can see, there are program sites all across the world. Your student can choose from over 75 programs in more than 35 countries, and hopefully find a topic or a language program that works best with their interests. So if you're curious about why you should choose CIEE, there's so many reasons. The first being that we've been doing this for over 75 years. It's actually our 77th year in business. It was really inspired out of a desire to build intercultural and global understanding, competency, and provide opportunities for American students and international students to bridge uh, connection. We support over 40,000 students every year. So not only do we have our high school summer programs that we're talking about tonight, we also support college students, gap year students, as I mentioned before, and inbound students that are international folks coming over to work and study in the US. So there's a lot happening every single year. We are a nonprofit organization and we administer the largest scholarship fund for US high school students around, and that is $7 million every single summer. And we're so happy that we get to help students through financial scholarships to afford our programs and experience the same things as their peers. So moving on, I will just give a very brief overview of the differences between program types that students can choose from. So they're given two sort of distinct options. The first one is called topic programs. They're 3 weeks long. They're taught in English, even if they take place in a country where there is a foreign language spoken. And they fall under the umbrella of STEM programs, arts and culture, business, and social change. So this could really vary. For some students, that's studying aerospace engineering in Toulouse, France. For other students, it's culinary arts in Paris. These are two French examples. Let me expand. You could do robotics engineering in Japan, or you could study ocean conservation in Cape Town or wildlife conservation in Botswana. So the options are endless. And this is really a great opportunity for students who want to explore a subject area that maybe they want to take into their career in the future. So it gives them some exposure to industry professionals in the field who are already doing that work. And there's also the opportunity to earn 50 service learning hours on some of our service programs. So that is an amazing takeaway looks great on college applications for many high schools around the US. That is a graduation requirement, and it gives you that first-hand experience that you may not have the opportunity to receive while you're in high school ordinarily. Now, the other option is an option that is more specific to our alumni here today. They all selected our language programs. This is where we started at CIEE. We're really known for our language programs. We've added 2 since last year, so we now offer 9 different languages for students to choose from, the newest being Korean and Portuguese. But as you can see here on the screen, students can enter at any language proficiency that they are. So if they're a complete beginner, not sure if all the alumni here knew any Arabic before going in, but if they didn't, they would have been placed in an introductory course, and if they did, they would have been placed appropriately in a level that made sense for them. Because we want students to be challenged on our programs and to continue to develop their language during those 4 weeks. So unlike topic programs, which are 3 weeks, these are 4-week programs, a whole month with CIEE and a cohort during a session of the summer, living with a host family. I know our alumni will speak a little bit more to their experiences staying with a homestay, but this is an essential element of a CIE language program because students have the opportunity to learn language passively at home, over the dinner table, in conversation, as you can see in the image here, but also actively when they're in class time at our study centers with our instructors and faculty. So that is something we've seen really helps students with the immersive nature of the program. And it also gives them a community when they're away from home for so long. It's often a new experience for many students who haven't had a chance to live abroad yet on their own. So there are many great advantages to living with a homestay family. There's a little star here that says 1 month with CIEE equals 1 year at school. So we administer a stamp assessment on many language programs before and after the program to show students how much growth they have made. And through those surveys, we have discovered that in 4 weeks, due to the intensity of our CIE programs, students will grow about the equivalent amount that they would during a year of high school. So, because you're limited to typically 45 minutes in a classroom, here they have an opportunity to speak in the target language, as we call it, the entire day for 4 weeks. And so they really make significant language growth. Students also have the opportunity to elect for college credit. We partner with Tulane University, and Tulane will give 4 college credits to any student that signs up on a language program at a very discounted price. We always recommend that students do this if they want to. You can get a college class checked out of the way early, and Tulane University is a well-renowned university, and those college credits are widely accepted as well. Now, for the students that may be coming in at an intermediate level, they have the option to receive the Global Seal of Biliteracy. For those of you who don't know, that is a certification in another language. And another thing that's great on college applications, we're always thinking ahead to the future, is how we can help our students after the program ends. And it's a way that they can sort of close the fluency gap while they're on our programs and earn a few credentials and awards and certifications along the way. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to our alumni. Take it away.
Hi, so if I was, one thing I really wish I knew before going to Morocco, I would say really being open to doing new things, and that's really huge. They're gonna really emphasize being open to new things, and I felt like me knowing how I am, and I don't like new things, I don't like meeting new people, so going to a different country, different continent with people I've like never met was really scary, but I met amazing people. Clara knows our group chat, there's something happening a couple times a week. It's really crazy. You never know what you're expecting. And the people who went on our trip was like really amazing. And then I went to Morocco with knowing know Arabic, so that was difficult, very difficult actually. But then I was put in the beginner class, and I would say I learned some, but then yeah, I don't know. I learned some, and I've been thinking about actually getting my minor in Arabic. So I would say this program has been really, really, really helpful. Um, yeah, we went camel riding. That was one of my favorite parts. It was really scary, but it was amazing. Yeah. And then the picture in the middle is Amy, my PL, Mariama, and me post camel riding. No, pre camel riding. So yeah, I
Can you
really like it.
explain what a PL is to the group?
Oh, your PL is the person you're gonna, if you have like, you don't like your host family or whatever reason, they're like the first person you're gonna go and speak to. And then it's like, there's like a chain of people, like the higher ups. I don't know. Like when something's wrong, you tell your PL will tell, I think the coordinator or something. And then it goes up and like that, and then it'll like get to your parent if it's like very terrible. But yeah. Yeah, they fly with you. I was on the group flight, so they flew with me from New York to Morocco, and then Morocco to New York.
Yeah, so just to provide a little bit more context, so there's always a program leader on every program. The ratio typically is 1 to 12 students. So one program leader for every 10 to 12 students. They are an acting supervisor for the students. They're the point of contact. Anything and everything that happens during the program leader should know about it. So if that's an allergy that comes up, or maybe you're having a sick day, or anything is happening, you let your program leader know. Oftentimes, there are American teachers that are traveling over from the US. Like she said, oftentimes they are also chaperoning flights and staying with the students for the entire duration of the program. Not always, but often. And so they speak English, and many times they do have some awareness of the program destination that they're traveling to. So maybe they speak the target language, or maybe they've traveled there before, or maybe it relates to whatever they teach. So those are the program leaders. Anything else you want to mention about your experience?
Uh, I think that's it for now.
Okay, maybe we'll come back to you after if we have other questions. Let me move on to the next slide.
Oh,
Is this one of yours?
yeah.
Yeah? Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. Uh, these are some of the people. The bottom picture of us all sitting on the floor was our lesson on Islam. So you really do learn about the culture there and everything. And then the other picture is of me and my friend Caitlin. And we have community conversations. So you have to go out and speak to, I'm pretty sure it was like 2 or 3 people every day, using the questions you learned in class. And this was us mentally preparing ourselves to go in and ask him our questions.
Yeah, so that is a facet of all language programs. The name changes from program to program. In Spain, it's Misión Eñe. And so after students spend, maybe the first couple of hours in class working on dialogues, or some kind of lesson, perhaps it's how to order at a store, they go into the community and are asked to speak with locals in order to put that classroom knowledge into reality. So theoretical becomes practical, and that's an important part of language learning as well. So yes, good job. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, Rehana, all you. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Some things I would highlight about my trip abroad is that I really enjoyed the overnight trip that they provide for you guys, and we got to go to Chefchaouen, which is the city of the blue, and everywhere is covered in blue, and that was really nice. And we got to hike a mountain, and that's like the second picture that's shown there. And then a lot of other things is like you go on field trips, school trips during the program. And the first picture on there is that when we went to Shella, and they made us do like a TikTok challenge, and which my group won. So kind of proud of that. And I really had to get out my comfort zone, is that I did not like the water as much. And we had to pick between an activity where we had to surf or kayak, and I went kayaking for the first time. So this trip was many of my firsts. And on the last picture, it's showing that my host family, which they really did help me in the class. During we would have like weekly assignments, we'd be like a presentation of whatever we would learn in class, and we have to like implement it into what we do at home. So I was really lucky to have a host sister that was around my age. She really treated me as his sister. She took me out. She took me to places like with her friends. She would go walking with me, and that was really sweet. Could we go to the next slide? Some of the things that happened during my trip is we also did go to camel riding, which was in Baja, which is an international point that used to be an international point. Some of the other things is that we went to Casablanca, which I really liked, that we got to see the third largest mosque in the world, and we got to like really know the history of behind it, as one of the previous kings made it. So something I really liked is that I got to actually, the reason why I went to Morocco was to see how it is to live in a Muslim country. And I got to like go to Jum'ah every Friday. Like one of the pictures like down below is a group photo of Madiha, which she is a really sweet person. I really liked her, and I got to meet her kids, and we would go every week.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Clara, I'm not sure if I see yours in here. Why don't you just speak to your experience on the language slide? Take it away.
Okay, yeah. I made my slides, but I don't know if they got lost or something. Yeah, I think I would really recommend this experience to anyone. Like, I think, well, like, first of all, I have a lot of friends who did other CIE programs. And so, like, I got my first choice program, but I also have friends who did programs that were like my second and third choices, and they had an amazing time. So I think really it's like there's no harm in just signing up and like, seeing where it takes you. And yeah, I think the best part of my experience was probably, well, aside from the overnight trip, because that was amazing. Camel riding in Marrakesh, that was amazing. I think just being with my homestay and really like pushing myself to my like limits with the language, because I had been studying Arabic in school for 3 years before coming to Morocco, but I'd never been in a situation where I was using it all the time and like in a like practical sense, not just like classroom or like talking with my friends or whatever. Um, and also like diving into such a different dialect was really interesting too, because it's like Moroccan Arabic is very different from like modern standard Arabic, which is what I've been learning before. And yeah, I think my homestay family was super welcoming and they really just treated me as their own. I still talk to them all the time, as well as the students on my program. So yeah, I think it was really an amazing experience. You just have to be open to trying new things, being in new experiences, and just being open to like living the life in the country as it is, not going in with expectations, just yeah, being open.
Thank you, and I'm sorry that your slides didn't make it in here, but I appreciate you speaking to that. So a question for any or all of you. I know, Clara, you just mentioned you had friends that did the program, but can you guys get into a little bit more specifically why you decided to actually apply and then travel with CIE last summer?
As I said before, it was I wanted to see what is Arabic culture, and I wanted to experience it. Some of the things that we did was, for our farewell party, we had Madiha had musicians come in, and also we had like a henna artist, and we had Atai, which is tea, which is really nice, and it was a really sweet farewell party.
Yeah, I really did the program like for the Arabic because again, like I had been studying on it and I wanted to improve my Arabic, but also I just wanted to um like experience a new culture and just dive into something completely unfamiliar. Like I think a lot of times we get so stuck in like our own lives and like, like our struggles back home and whatever. And like I think a lot of times we like daydream about just being like, leave it all behind and whatever. And I feel like, while you can't just like leave everything behind, you can take a break. You can take a break and you can experience something new. And that was a really good just like reset for me to just be out of my normal circumstances and really like experience what life can be. And like it definitely gave me a lot of like inspiration for my future in terms of what I want to study, what I want to work in, and just like inspired me to travel in general because I haven't really done that before. So yeah, just inspired me to see more of the world and definitely allowed me to do that. So
I really wanted to go abroad. Sophomore year, my French teacher was like, "You'd be a really great candidate to go abroad." But my mom obviously was like, "No, you can't go. You're too young." And then junior year, I told my mom again, and she was like, "Okay." She was like more open to it. And I just, like Clara said, I really just wanted to like be free in a sense and like just do what I wanted to do without having to like think too much about it because here there's like so many like responsibilities. I think it's just like waiting for me. But then I was like, this is like my last summer before almost my last summer as a child. So I was like, okay, I want to go do something. And yeah, I really liked it and it really has made me like change what I want to do with my life. So yeah, I would say it was great.
Thank you, guys. We have our first question from the crowd. I want to open it up to anybody who would like to ask any questions. You can pop into the Q&A. How old were each of you when you traveled last summer?
I was 17.
yeah, I had also just turned 17.
I was 16.
Yeah,
Thank
but I also like there was definitely people of all ages. Like there was 14 to 18. And like I was glad it was mostly people like 16, 17, like my age, but I feel like everyone really was able to bond with each other regardless of their age. And yeah, so there was a range. I feel like you could apply at any age, honestly.
For anyone wondering too, the way we do housing placements, if we're placing, multiple students in the same homestay, we will try to keep ages around each other. So you might find a ninth and 10th grader together and an 11th and 12th grader together, maybe not a 12th and ninth grader placed in the same home, so that, they can create friendships. You guys touched on such important elements of why CIEE or studying abroad in general can be beneficial. Maybe it's a personal connection to the site, or you want to experience the country as it relates to your own culture, as Rihanna had said. Um, Thinking about your future, continuing your studies, as Clara had mentioned, or something as simple as just you just want to have fun and sort of get away and get out of your context. These are all completely valid reasons that we encourage students to walk into this experience from wherever they are, and we'll meet them where they're at. Okay, we have some more questions. So first, did we say there are $7 million in scholarships? Is it easy to get one to help with this trip? Yes, I did. There are $7 million every summer through one generous donor. Um, this is available to ninth, 10th, and 11th grade students who are US citizens or permanent residents. So those are the eligibility criteria. I'm not sure if any of you applied to the Global Navigator Scholarship. If you did and want to talk about it, feel free to come off mute. If you don't want to, that's okay. But students are encouraged to apply if their families require any level of financial assistance. So we award between 10% all the way up to 100% of financial aid. This does not include flights, but it does include everything else. Do you guys want to mention anything about the Global Navigator Scholarship or the other scholarships?
Yeah, I just wanted to say like, um, I think like specifically for this program, it's I think really accessible to get scholarships because first of all, most of the scholarships go to language and culture programs. That's where like most of the money is like designated towards. So and also for whatever reason, we're not like, I guess because not as many people are interested in Arabic, we're not as like as popular as a program as maybe some of the like Spanish and French programs. So there's really like a good chance of getting a scholarship for it. But also I had friends from like other programs who got huge scholarships. My friend went to China and got like full scholarship and then fundraised the flight money. So it's also fundraising is also another option. Like I fundraised the rest of my money that I didn't that scholarship didn't cover, and like including the flights and everything. So it's really like it's more accessible than you think. And yeah, just go for it.
Some things I did to fundraise was that I like since I applied kind of early, I had a henna business, so like I spent all of my working into saving for the trip and the flight.
Also about the cost, I was working at the time and I started working, I think it was like the end of September, and like I knew I wanted to go abroad and I was like, okay, like I need to save some money. So I just saved my money from my work and I did get a good chunk of it paid off. So whatever the scholarship didn't pay, I paid for the rest of my tuition and I had help from my parents for my flight. So yeah.
Yeah, the advantage of, starting an application early this year. This is sort of a new thing that we're doing. For students that are applying to this Global Navigator Scholarship, the deadline is mid-January. It's January 15th. This year, if students get their applications in for that scholarship by December 1st, we may review their scholarship early. And so they have the opportunity to hear back about how much they may have earned through that scholarship by Christmas break. So this gives families a little bit more time to plan. If they don't hear by that point in time, they will definitely hear back in February, which is when absolutely everyone hears back. But we are trying to, provide a little bit more time for families. We have student fundraising toolkits on our website and other fundraising resources that maybe Hallie can drop into the chat. But it is competitive in the sense that programs have certain capacities and will fill eventually, inevitably. But it is common and totally accessible to apply for a Global Navigator scholarship. It's not something that is super competitive in that way. Many, many, many students um, benefit from it, and we give out all $7 million every summer. So we want to give that money away to any student that applies for it. So encourage a student to put together an application online and hopefully they'll get an award. There is another question in the Q&A. Are there more than one CIE students in a home? If you guys could just let us know what your home situation looks like, we can answer that live.
Yeah, so oh, sorry. For our program, like our particular program, we did homestays and we were the only ones placed in our homes. I don't know about session one, but I'm pretty sure it was for session one too. But it was actually really nice because like a lot of people were like we're all placed in the same neighborhood, in like the old Medina, like the traditional section of Rabat. So it was like um we were all really close to each other, like max like 10 to 15 minutes from each other. And I actually had two other students like placed in families in my apartment building. So it was really nice. We got to be like basically neighbors. And we got to know each other's homestay families too, while also feeling like that special connection with our own. So yeah, I think it was perfect.
For session one, yeah, you're right that we only had one person per family. Something that was really nice that we were also placed in the Medina, and I was really close to the beach. Like the beach is like across the street from where I lived. So most of the time when people were like walking by the beach, they'll come and knock on my door and ask me if I wanted to come.
Sirha, do you have anything to add?
Uh, no, it was only me in my homestay. I had a mom, a dad, two sisters, so it was pretty normal. I think there was one person on our trip that had a roommate and they really enjoyed it, but I think the likelihood of a roommate is very low.
So that may be specific to this program. It could really range. It depends on the program destination. what the living arrangements look like with our partners. So students could be alone on some certain programs. They could be with 2 roommates. They could be with 3 roommates. It really depends, and we'll communicate that to you typically the week of departure, what exactly the housing arrangements will be, and students have the opportunity to reach out to those families via WhatsApp if they want to touch base. But as I like to say, it is an advantage to you if you get placed in a home alone because you get that one-on-one connection. You're not necessarily going to be talking to your American peer in English on the side. You're really going to be focusing on trying to get your dialogue across in the target language. So everything works. There's also a little housing questionnaire that we build into the application where students can put their recommendations in. We'll do our best to guarantee those we'll do our best to accommodate those, but we can't guarantee those. Yeah. There's another question. What is the typical agenda for every day? You guys can talk about what your day structure looks like.
We had class starting from 9 to 12. Typically, I left my house at 8:30 with a friend to catch a taxi there. And then 9 to 12, we had class. And then we had a tea break at 10, for I think it was like 10 minutes. It went a little bit over, but just say it was like 10 minutes long. And then we had community conversations from like 12 to 12:30, just depending on whenever you finish your conversations. And then we had lunch until 2, 2:30 sometimes. And then we'd regroup and then we'd talk about how our conversations went. And then we would do a culture activity as a whole, and then we'd be free. I want to say around 3 or 4, and then we'd go home, work on the assignment we got for the night, and then have dinner and do whatever with your family.
Yeah, I feel like it was a good balance because it was very flexible. Like, I think the cultural activity could end at any time between like 4 and like 9. Like, it was really, yeah, and like they said specifically, like in, I guess, like in line with Moroccan culture, they're very flexible and like things can change on like at a moment's notice, but they're very like communicative about that and they really let you know. And also like you feel very prepared because um before like once I got accepted into the program, they sent me this like 20-page document with the schedule for each day, like written out very extensively. So like you know what you're gonna do and things might change and you gotta be flexible, but also it's like very yeah, you know what's going on. And so you don't feel like lost or whatever. But yeah.
The layout was the same for session 1. We had like community conversations around the same time. And then for the culture activity, as she said, as Clara said again, they could range from different times. Like after the culture activity, sometimes I would like stay after and I did like some murals in the in the CIE room. So I, if you guys knew, I did the henna one on the wall, as you can see in the picture on the left.
Love that little connection between the sessions. How fun. And yeah, and just if you're curious on other programs, if you're in a destination where there's extreme heat and the students are just going to absolutely be exhausted during a cultural activity in the sun, maybe they'll move class time to the afternoon and do cultural activities in the morning so that they're out of the zenith. Things like that. We try to be as flexible as possible in order to accommodate the entire group and everyone's best interest. So yeah, that is the typical breakdown for any program, though. A few hours of class time, 2 to 3 interactive class work, and then community conversations, as they mentioned. That might look a little different on a topic program. It would be more like field work or meeting with people in real life, business professionals, cultural activities in the afternoon, travel on the weekends. Any other questions floating around out there that our alumni can answer for you?
If there's not any, but I think I should add something that I was wondering before I went, was that the classwork and like the class load was pretty light, to be honest. The only thing that you would need to like make sure you're on top of is the weekly presentations. Did you guys have that for session 2? Which like they would give you an assignment for every day, but it'd be like one slide about a few words and like a picture. And then another thing was that your PLs kept a journal for like you had to write a journal and there would be like 3 prompts every week. So I would say it was pretty light if you kept doing your work throughout the week.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like it's intensive, but it's manageable. Like, because the intensive part is being in the target language. Like, that's already, they understand that that's already like a lot. Like, being at home all day with your host families and talking in the target language. Um, so, and then like talking it in class and in community conversations, everything. So I feel like for language programs specifically, like that is the main focus. And so there's not much work outside of that except to like show your learning and understanding.
I have a question to pose to you guys. So someone had mentioned the chaperone flight. Um, did all of you take that option? You guys can answer, and then I'll provide some more information after.
Yes.
I did take the group flight, so I had to fly from Seattle to New York and then New York to Casablanca. Yeah, our PL, he was amazing. Our flight was delayed for a really long time, and that really made us like bond and just be like closer with each other and get to know each other
Wasn't we
before we
playing
actually.
Uno?
I was sitting alone. I was so tired. Like I was there from 7 a.m. until 2 a.m. So I was really like out of it. So I don't know. There are rumors everyone's playing games, but I just wanted to sleep. But yeah, the group flight was amazing. I say take the group flight if you have the chance. It really gives you that chance to bond with everyone instead of taking the um solo flight. You're gonna be all by yourself. So yeah, I recommend the group flight.
It also worked out for me because like that ended up being the cheapest and most direct flight. But also like I would really recommend it also just because like I've never traveled alone. I've been out the country like once and it was with my family, like going to see family. So um I feel like just it can be very overwhelming to go through that whole process, but when you're doing it together, it's like there's someone like, keeping on top of everything. You're not gonna like slip through the cracks or anything. So yeah, I would recommend it.
I also would recommend the group flight is because that once you get to New York, I was like the first person there, so I was just like wondering, and the first thing I seen was like the CIE shirts. Everyone's like told to wear their CIE shirts. So then there was a couple people that I met on there, and then those people are kind of like made a bond with them, and I still do talk to everyone. And here's the one thing I would mention is that everyone's going to the group to Morocco for all the same reasons. So like basically everyone in the group you go to, there's not like cliques or anything. It's like everyone's there for the same purpose.
I did not know that you'd all taken the group flight, but yes, thank you for being ambassadors for that option. We give families the choice, so you can send your student independently, if that makes more sense. Schedule logistic wise, maybe it makes more financial sense to send them from a home airport rather than our gateway airports, but we will send groups of students who want to go as a group with a supervisor, often a PL, it could be a CIE staff member, through New York, through LAX, through Chicago, through major airport destinations. So, like Mustariha said, she had to fly over from Seattle first, independently as a domestic leg, and then do the international leg with the entire group. So, we share these details with you after you are accepted and confirmed for the program. So, flight detail information will be coming in the spring. And if you want to sign up for the group flight, maybe I will be your chaperone, hopefully to Rabat next summer. That would be fun. I took some students to Spain this past year. Yeah, I'm so glad we shared that detail with you guys. It is fun for students and fun for us too. And also, you do have the option to pay for flights with miles or points. We have every student book through our Flightbox partner. Sorry, my cat is meowing. Through our Flightbox agent called Flightbox. More details to come in the next phase. We're sort of in the application phase right now. So once applications are in and we enter the new year, pre-departure phase will begin and all of these questions will get answered in a more detailed manner. It's 7:45. We're nearing the end. Please drop any other questions that you guys have in the chat.
For the application process, I would also say finish submit your application before the due date because I was doing it the night it was due and it kept crashing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I might not be able to go. And I was really sad. So finish your application as soon as possible and submit it before the due date because everyone's going to wait last minute. It's going to crash. And they extended the due date, thankfully, but you don't want that to happen to you.
I'm very glad you mentioned that. Yeah, so if you're applying for a scholarship, we have a small scholarship. It's called the Academic Merit Award. We have the bigger scholarship, the Global Navigator one. In both those cases, the online application is pretty lengthy. You need to get a teacher to write an evaluation for you. You need to have your parents fill out certain tasks through their own separate account. You need to write essays. So there are many, many things that need to get done. It's not as straightforward as just doing it in 2 hours on the night before it's due. So in order to give yourself the best chances, I definitely agree. Try to open it today. You can use one of these codes that our alumni have up here. Get $200 off if you haven't already opened an application through their codes, and then get started on the tasks as soon as possible. And we're here to help if you guys need any assistance on the back end. Hallie, if you could put in our email and our phone number, this is where you can contact us.
For the academic merit part, I would say when you're filling it out for a teacher, I would say pick a teacher you're really, really super close to, is because, well, later on, after I came back, when I was told like I'm an ambassador, they told me that why my application stood out was because of my teacher and what he wrote about me. But to this day, I don't know what he wrote.
Adding on to her, if you're going for a language program and you're taking language at your high school, I would also say ask your language teacher, even if you're not going to the same location. Well, it's going to study the same language as you're taking. Because I took French for 2 years and I got my French teacher to write my application. And she went to, I think, Toulouse this year. So she's like really into CIEE and she really like helped convince my mom to let me go too. So yeah. And ask them a couple weeks before the application's due, so they have time. And then one thing we tell the students at my school when they're applying is to treat your application kind of like you're applying to college. So you kind of like, especially with the essays, because you're going to write a lot when you're applying to college, to really like think about it and don't just like, I don't know, write it the night of. So treat it like a college application is my recommendation.
Yeah, and kind of the other way around, like I think it can be overwhelming, like the application process. I know it was for me. Um, but it also like I actually ended up using part of my CIE application, like one of the essays, for my like college essay. So like it's not like it goes to nothing. And even if you don't like take directly from it, it's just good experience and good practice. And yeah, also just helping you think about like actually why you want to do it, can be helpful in like figuring out your purpose in general. So, yeah.
Yeah, the questions we have set up in the short answer or short essay questions are very similar to what you might find on like the Common App. Tell us about a challenge that you may have had in your past and how you overcame it, things of that nature. It gets students thinking about what they've been through so far and what they're hoping to gain out of the experience. I highly recommend you as a parent or you as a student going to a peer who's traveled before or to a mentor or teacher to have them peer review your essays. Little things like grammatical errors will lead to you losing points on the way your application is scored by our committee. So every little thing matters. We look at the application holistically. It's the teacher recommendation. It's your short answer questions. It's everything. So make a strong application and you have a higher chance of receiving funding. I'm going to get to this last question in just a second. I also just did want to mention, I think one of you did mention this previously, but 90% of the Global Navigator Scholarship, the vast majority of that $7 million goes to language and culture programs. So again, if you want to increase your probability of receiving funding, listing language programs in your top 3 choices is a really good way to do that. Yeah, and especially the Rabat program, it doesn't get enough love. It's an amazing program. All right, so the next question is how much is the application process and where to get that $200 off? I'm so glad you asked. So the application process is sort of embedded here. Oh, let me go back. I'm gonna spend a few seconds on each here. So we have this one and oh, this one. So what you can do is if you scan this code, it will say, congratulations, you've been referred by one of our alumni. And then you will create a high school summer study abroad account. And then you'll just select how you'd like to apply. It will say, are you applying with a scholarship? You can say yes or no. If you are, which one? Global Navigator, Academic Merit Award. So just create a high school summer study abroad account through these codes. And we will deduct $200 off automatically. Again, this only applies to students who don't have applications open already. Go for it.
Something I would add on to the application, I also had to convince my mom a little bit. Someone from CIE did reach out after I opened an application, which they called my mom, and they kind of eased her into understanding what was like the study abroad and how it would have like staff members and a lot of security.
Yeah, that is our job as study abroad advisors. We will definitely call your student. We will definitely call you as a primary emergency contact, maybe sometimes a secondary emergency contact to provide additional context and give you information that you might be looking for. Yeah, so don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help always.